Total Football Talk. I'm actually filming this outside my house. Arizona has some benefits this time of year, and the lights you see are my Christmas lights that I set up in my front yard. So, enjoying my porch. Got a view, got a phone, and got E on the line. So,
what up, yo? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Even if your team lost, I hope that your family provided lots of fun, gifts, and merriment. Now, I'm obviously in a good mood because the Rams had a get-well-soon game that was played. I want to start with that one a little bit, Eric. The Rams game against the Cardinals, it went exactly the way it needed to. You had three sacks.
Can I add one thing really quick?
Yeah.
I love the fact that they decided to not play Gurley and knew that they could win this game without him.
Yeah, I don't know if they can do that next week, though.
Well, 167 yards by C.J. Anderson begs to differ.
Well, one game. I liked what I saw out of C.J. Anderson. And
yeah, but he's fresh.
He is. Oh, man, and did he look fresh. The Rams will run him 30, 40 times if they can get away with it. Look, there were a few things about this game that I was really thrilled about. Aaron Donald registering 3 sacks. Jared Goff made a pass in double coverage through a window that was tighter than, I don't even have an analogy. It was super tight. He hadn't completed those much over the last 3 weeks. So it was good to see him kind of get back on track. It was really fun to watch, to watch these guys come out and really sling it off the play action. But yeah, Eric, you hit the nail on the head. C.J. Anderson, to me, is the story of this game. And, I'm a little irritated that the Rams signed him because I believe in John Kelly and Justin Davis. But obviously they don't, and they see them every day in practice. I don't. So they felt like bringing in somebody fresh off the street was a better route. And it's hard to argue 167 yards and, 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
So, congrats. So, Eric, let me tell you what this game isn't. This game, it amazes me how only the Rams can win a game like this and everybody take the same reaction of, well, it's the Cardinals. When the Saints beat the Buccaneers, look at how great the Saints are. They're back on track. They beat the Buccaneers on the road. The Rams beat the Cardinals, which is basically the Buccaneers of their division. And the Saints still the best team in football, man. Saints still the best team in football. Let me tell you something. The Saints don't want to see the Rams back in the dome. I'm telling you that right now. They won't say it. The media won't say it. I'll say it for you. That defense is playing a lot better with Akeem Talib. They're getting pressure from multiple places. They're getting confidence. Yeah, they had a 2-week dry spell where somebody other than Donald wasn't making plays on defense. But even still in that stretch, they gave up 15 to the Bears, and they gave up 23 to the Eagles. So, I know what you're thinking. No, they gave up 30. No, they didn't. The offense threw in a pick 6. I don't count that against the defense. Defense didn't give up that touchdown.
But I'm going to stop you right there. You don't have to worry about facing the Saints again in the dome. I'm just going to leave it like that. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, you better. You better. So you think it's going to be well, here's the other thing, too. Like, Seattle didn't impress me last week.
Against Kansas City?
No.
Well, what Seattle did was exactly what you have to do against Kansas City, and they just perfected it. That's all.
Right. Now, I'm not saying – I think Kansas City is starting to show cracks in their arsenal. And I'm more worried if I'm a Chiefs fan than I am if I'm a Rams fan. Because you went into Chicago and your defense played lights out, but your offense didn't show up. Against Philadelphia, your offense showed a little bit of life, but your defense kind of struggled a little bit. In Seattle, it was the same thing it always is for the Chiefs. The offense scores, but the defense can't stop anybody.
they're kind of like Kansas City Chiefs with their high-powered offense and lackluster defense is a lot like what you're going to see with Oklahoma this weekend against the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
I don't mean to throw a collegiate game out there, but if you've watched any college football, Oklahoma is the epitome of what Kansas City pretty much is.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we'll get to that game more in a minute, but as a Ram fan, I'm sitting there going, okay, we played the Cardinals, we did exactly what we were supposed to do, and we won the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about what comes out. It's a game, listen, that there's a team who's going to have the number one pick, and of course they're bad. So don't worry about what anybody else says. You went in, you took care of business like you should have, with or without Gurley. Again, smart to rest him. And, Goff played pretty darn good. Probably the best I've seen him play in about a month or so.
Yeah.
And, the defense finally set up, but I figured the defense would step up because the Cardinals' offensive line is crap.
Mm-hmm.
You saw 2 weeks in a row where Arizona brought in their backup quarterback in Mike Glennon. Okay, and to me, rookie quarterbacks like Rosen, like Mayfield, they need all the reps they can get. I guarantee you that if Baker Mayfield was on the Cardinals, he'd be like, no, don't take me out. I want to play.
Yeah.
That's the difference between why the Browns and the Cardinals are going to be in completely opposite directions in 5 years.
Oh, you know it. You know it to be sure. Here's a game that, let me ask you one thing left to wrap up with the Rams. I told you guys the Rams are going to win this game. I felt confident the Rams are going to win this game, and they were going to win it comfortably. And what this game isn't, the Rams didn't play anybody. This game needed to go the way that it did. The Rams needed to get back on track. McVay kicking field goals instead of trying to get touchdowns. The defense played well. 3 sacks for Aaron Donald. He's now basically 3.5 away from breaking the record. Or I guess 4 away from breaking the record. 3.5 from tying it. Or 3 from tying it. 3.5 from breaking it.
He's 3 away from tying.
So, I look at this and I say to myself, this is exactly what they needed. And they need another week like it. But where this game is so different for me, and why it is such a big deal, is they did it without Todd Gurley. They did it with literally a dude off the street. So, yeah, I'm excited for the way this game went. No question about it. So, let me ask you a question, Eric, because I don't know if you're going to be with us for the final week. So, let me ask this question. Do you think Aaron Donald breaks the record and gets 22.5 sacks, which the record is 22. Do you think he breaks the record this week against the 49ers?
I think he gets 2 sacks and can't get a third one.
Okay, because I said all along he was going to break the record. I think he's going to get 4 in that game. I'm just calling it. And none of them will be gifts. That much I know. All right. Now, on to another game that I thought was extremely incredible. We'll get to that one later. The Colts and the Giants, Eric. What did you think of that game?
The Colts came out very lackluster in the first half. The Giants basically took them to the woodshed in the half, but that's why you play 4 quarters to a game. The Giants' defense let up in the second half. Pat Shurmur didn't keep the gas pedal on the Colts throughout the second half, and it cost them. And it cost them because they kicked field goals, and the Colts scored a touchdown when they needed it the most.
Dude.
But I will say this: give Frank Reich, give the OC, and give Andrew Luck all the credit in the world for not giving up and playing till the final whistle to when the clock strikes quadruple zero, because that loss could have easily diminished their playoff hopes.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the other thing that I'm impressed with, Eric. They shut down Barkley for the most part. Now they've shut down Elliott. They've shut down Barkley.
They shut down. Yeah, they may have shut down Barkley, but man, did Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram have big games, and I mean they could have passed them all day.
Yeah, but look who they're playing next week. They're not playing a team that's going to throw the ball.
They kept going to Barkley in the fourth, and they wouldn't go to their weapons who were helping them out earlier in the game.
But like I said, the Titans aren't going to do that. The Titans are going to try to lean on Henry, and Henry is not as good as Barkley and Elliott. I'm sorry. So, we'll see how that turns out, but impressive win. I love the fact that they scored on the final play of the game and made it just such a great game. I know my dad hates the Colts. My dad grew up a Giants fan and remembered the 58 and 59 NFL championship game. So if you're an old timer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a fanatic of the game, then you know about at least the first overtime game in NFL championship history. And that was the one that hurt my dad the most. So he hates the Colts. So that for him was a little bitter pill to swallow.
That was Baltimore.
It doesn't matter. It's the Colts. Doesn't matter. It's the Colts. What else? Another game. Jacksonville, Miami. Huh.
Oh man, there's rumors of house cleaning coming out in Miami, and it don't look like Tannehill's going to be there. I'm sorry. Can you tell me who said that earlier this year?
You think Carr ends up in Miami?
Yes, I still do.
The Dolphins to me are such an anomaly. They've got a coach who's capable. They've had really good defensive players. But this team just can't find ways. They just can't beat anybody. I mean, they win games. You're like, okay, wow, the Dolphins, maybe they're coming around. And then they lose to the friggin' Jaguars after getting blown out by the Vikings. I mean, this team has checked out for the year. Don't you think?
It just seems like they get up for their division games, but then everybody else, it's like, oh, hey, we don't care. Because the Patriots could come down to Miami 16 times, and they'd probably go 15-1. I'm serious.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, they seem to have the. There's no lights down in Miami right now with the Dolphins. No,
they just know the season's over. After the season, the Dolphins can save $18.7 million on their salary by designating Tannehill as a post June 1st cap cut.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dough that they can use for somebody else.
Yeah, it is, especially if they want to sign a quarterback. Here's another one that just irritated the crap out of me. I watched this game. Houston at Philadelphia. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I don't want to say I told you so.
Dude,
But I told you so.
Okay, fine, I'll give you it. But really, did you watch the game?
I did, yes.
Houston had no business losing that game. No business.
They didn't, but when your quarterback is on the verge of getting sacked 60 times in the season, and you can't stop Nick Foles, which, again, I'm going to bring it up, but I know Doug Peterson came out today and said Carson Wentz is our guy, but you seriously have to entertain Nick Foles. He did not let up, and he led that team on a game-winning drive that it was a perfect pass to Zach Ertz while he was stumbling downfield.
Yeah.
And they were just able to pull it off. And
well, did you see the bomb that he threw?
What's that?
Did you see the bomb that he threw? That dime right on the money for the big touchdown pass?
Yeah.
I've been fighting this. Eric. I've been fighting this, but I'm starting to come around on the thinking that you may have to entertain this. If they win again, and they should beat Washington, if Minnesota stumbles to Chicago, which the Bears are capable of beating the Vikings.
Hey, I got a question for you. Do you want to see the Eagles again at your place in
Yes.
All-Star Weekend?
Yes, I do. Yes,
okay.
I do.
Well, why don't you intentionally lose to the Niners, and then you come back to Chicago?
No, look, I think what's going to end up happening is if the Eagles are the 6th seed, they're going to end up playing Chicago, right?
Right. Currently as constructed, yes.
Okay. If they lose to the Bears are the 3 seed, they'd automatically go to L.A.
No. If the Bears lose, then Minnesota goes to Chicago.
I'm sorry. If the Bears win, they automatically go to L.A.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable playing the Eagles in your place?
Bring on Minnesota. Actually, I'd rather face the Eagles because we haven't seen them this year, and they're not familiar with us.
Yeah.
And our defense.
Yeah, but the Eagles give you a hard time.
So bring the Eagles. We'll show them where they can fly.
Okay. I love it. Look, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
The Eagles are one-dimensional. Okay, I know that they had Sproles and Smallwood actually run the ball in Texas, but you can run the ball in the Texans.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know the Texans can be high-flying and they can score in a hurry, but
this was the weekend.
And the Eagles actually exploited that. They were able to get down the field and go down for the winning score.
This was
you have three guys in your front seven in Clowney, Watt, and Merciless, and somehow they just could not get to Foles. Like Clowney nailed Foles. I got a beautiful hit too. I believe it was flagged because Clowney kind of put his head down just a little bit and hit him with the
face mask,
top of the crown of his helmet, or in between the crown and where the face mask ends or whatnot. And he got a 15-yard roughing the passer call, which was crap, I think. But Foles took a shot. He came back in after taking one play off, and it was like, wow. I mean, like he wanted it. He just said he got that wind knocked out of him, but I'm sure he saw stars.
Well, and the thing that kills me is this is the weekend of lost opportunities. And with the Patriots,
for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I mean, especially the Chargers and Texans.
And Chargers and Texans definitely. I mean, now all New England has to do is win, and they get a bye week, which will benefit them a lot. But I don't know how much they can use it to their advantage, because I still think whoever wins the weekend prior and goes into New England has a great chance to upset them.
Well, and I mean, I'm jumping ahead here, but we'll talk about it. But even Pittsburgh, like, I don't think they make the playoffs at this point.
Well, Pittsburgh's got to win first and foremost. And then once they take care of business against the Bengals, which I'm sure they will, the Ravens don't have the easiest time, won't have the easiest time in Week 17 against the Browns. But then, I mean, they have to hope Baltimore loses, but then they have to also hope that the Titans and the Colts tie.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen. Although you said it was going to happen.
That's not going to happen. I mean, there's like a very less than 1% chance of it happening.
So there's.
And if Mariota doesn't play on Sunday night, then I don't think there's no way there's going to be a tie.
I don't want to jump to Green Bay, New York, because we didn't cover the Bears, and we usually do the Bears second. The Bears, Eric, I told you I wasn't confident about that game. And, 14-9, you take a win as you can get a win. It's just the Niners, you struggle with the Niners. And, I know you were confident they were going to win. I don't know how you feel about the 14-9 win. But as far as I'm concerned, Chicago, they've got a lot of question marks on their own. This is such a weird year to me because last year it just felt like Minnesota and Philadelphia and New England and Jacksonville, they were so strong in one area that their weaknesses really didn't flourish. This year it seems like the Saints, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Bears, all these teams, the Chargers, they have a glaring weakness that you can't seem to overlook their strengths on.
There's no perfect team out there right now.
No.
Everybody has holes. I mean, I could go through all 12 teams and tell you everybody's holes.
Absolutely. So what was your take on the Bear game? You give us this analysis.
All right. So I just want to start with this. Do you remember how many yards I said Kittle would get?
I can't remember.
I said less than 75.
Mm-hmm.
He had 74.
Nice. You called it.
Anyways, okay, so I heard somebody say this later that day or Monday. I'd rather take an ugly win than a pretty loss, and that's what it was. It was an ugly win, but you're on the road. I don't want to blame the field conditions, but the field conditions at Levi Stadium are pretty brutal. And that goes for everybody who's played there and said that. So, yeah, you have to rise above obstacles that are put in your way, and the Bears did that. The good thing about this Bears team, what I like, is that they were down 6-0, okay, in the first quarter, and they came back. They were resilient. They actually were able to get a touchdown run by or a touchdown catch by Anthony Miller. I'm sorry, they were down 6-0 in the second quarter. It was scoreless first quarter, and then the 49ers kicked a field goal right at the end, which I talked to you on the phone on this because I thought it was complete BS. But and I can get into it once we talk about the Titans about it because I feel like it was the same exact play that happened with the Titans.
Well, we already talked about the Titans and Redskins.
What's that?
Didn't we already talk about Titans and Redskins? That was.
We didn't. No, we didn't talk about the Saturday games.
Oh, okay.
But we need to review them. Yes. And I can go into it because it happened in the Titans game on Saturday. In the Titans game, the Titans were driving in the last within the last 2 minutes of the game to I believe it was to take the lead, which they ended up doing. But on the way to do that, they got called for a false start with a running clock, so they opted to take the 10 seconds off the clock. Well, then Blaine Gabbert threw a 9-yard pass, and they wanted to measure, so they stopped the clock, and apparently the offense somehow is, what's the word I'm looking for? The offense is penalized basically because the refs stopped the clock, and then they wanted to do a booth review. So apparently, if you're the offense, because you can't challenge anything under 2 minutes in either half, the offense gets penalized because you either get the 10-second runoff or have to take a timeout when the refs stopped to review a play, and they were reviewing to see if he got the first down. Well, Tennessee ended up taking a timeout. Fast forward to the Bears game. San Francisco threw what looked like a 9.5-yard pass. The refs stopped play, so they wanted to review the play to make sure he gained the first down, which they, of course, then came back and said he did, but there was no 10-second runoff, and San Francisco was out of timeouts.
I think it was an error in the previous game, though, Eric. The more I think about this, you can't penalize the offense for your decision-making. So I think the Titans are the ones that got screwed.
I've seen it more than once this year. Let me rephrase that. I've seen it on different weekends this year outside of Week 16.
I think it's well, who knows? I don't know. That's bad. They got a field goal. They took the lead, though.
Getting back to this game, which is funny because the last 2 times the Bears and Niners have played, San Francisco has scored 24 total points against the Bears in the last 2 outings, and Robbie Gould has accounted for all 24 of them. So the Bears defense is doing something right.
Yeah.
They ended up getting a 2-yard touchdown run by Jordan Howard in the third quarter, and you know what? That was it. The Bears defense played good. They didn't break. They came up with a timely interception, which I was like, all right, boys, come on. It'll be great for a pick right here. Sure enough, Danny Trevathan gets a caromed pass right into his lap, and maybe goes a couple of yards with the Bears get the ball back. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's run up the score, you know, like San Francisco, I don't care. I would love to break the score against the Redskins and run up the score and make it 77 or 80 to nothing on San Francisco. Just once. I would love it. Just love it. But then, you know, the Bears tried to run out the clock, and, you know, Nagy put the ball in Trubisky's hands again and said, you know what, pass us to a first down, we'll run out the clock, and he did. He got it to Allen Robinson, and then Robinson was peanut punched from the ball. And if anybody knows that reference, Charles Peanut Tillman with the peanut punch uses fist and knock the ball out, which, I mean, due to highlight making cornerback retired, of course, but you know, Robinson lost the fumble, and San Francisco had the ball back, and I was like, all right, here we go again. If we're going to lose, we might as well just get the loss out of the way now and just win the next 4 games that we play. That'd be great.
Yeah.
4 or 5 games that we play. But the defense held its own. Nick Mullins had a chance to run for a first down at the end, and he actually ended up throwing to Marquise Goodwin down the far sideline as he was rolling out to his right. and ended up throwing the ball sailed out of bounds. And I was like, dude, you had so much room to. He had like at least 20 yards before there was actually the closest bear, and I was like, thank you for an inexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Again, the Bears defense came through. Trubisky played well. He had one gaffe, but luckily, he had a red zone pick, but it was negated by a defensive holding penalty. So, I mean, second year in the league, he's still learning. This is his first full year under Nagy. I'm really expecting big things out of him in his third year. And, what the Bears did, they won in They beat a bad team. And San Francisco really isn't bad depending on the week that they play in. But, I mean, they're 4-11 for a reason. But, they kept pressure on the Rams for that number 2 spot. And, the Bears really control who they play in the first round of the playoffs. Like, if they really don't want to face Minnesota, they'll go into Minnesota and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
And say, okay, Eagles, go beat the Redskins. And if the Eagles don't want it, they'll lose to the Redskins, and then we just have to face Minnesota again the next week, but just at our place, where I think we hold a very, very big advantage.
Well, I agree with that. I want to jump to these Saturday games because I thought we covered them. Look, there's not much to say here. The Redskins did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They blew it. They made a good game of it, but when you've got your third-string quarterback and people off the street playing offensive line, and you can't stop the run because your defense is on the field for so long, you're going to lose football games. And, they couldn't get a first down to keep the Titans off the field, and they ended up letting the Titans go up the field and win the game. So what do you say about it? It's typical Washington Redskin results. So
it was more of a 1916 game because that pick six at the end by Malcolm Butler. And it's funny it was him because the one who doesn't get playing time in the Super Bowl makes a big play for the Titans to keep them in line for the playoffs. Makes the play, but Josh Johnson, he played well for 3.5 quarters, and then it just seemed like he fell apart. You could almost sense a bad pass coming. And Tennessee's defense wasn't the greatest. Washington's defense wasn't the greatest. Adrian Peterson looked really good, and Josh Johnson, had some weapons around to throw to, but can you count on Crowder? Can you count on Doxson? Can you count on your tight ends? Chris Thompson made appearances, but he really didn't do much. It was like, you need playmakers. You can't rely on a 33-year-old running back to lead you and will you to a victory. You need all 22 guys on offense and defense, and throw on those guys on special teams too. Like,
you do.
Things are going to be really bad in Washington. They actually just fired 3 or 4 front office people today because they wanted more of fan experience, and those guys were hired to bring in more fans to the stadium. And when you get less fans, somebody's got to go, and it ain't going to be Snyder.
Well, the bottom line is you've got to put a better product on the field. You can have the best fan experience in the world, but the Redskin fans, look, they've stuck with the Redskins for well over a decade and sold that stadium out when that team was garbage. But you're going to go into year 20 of garbage and barely able to win a playoff game, if even win one. Yeah, the fans are going to be a little fed up. The last coach to win a playoff game for Washington was Joe Gibbs.
2005, they beat the Buccaneers.
Joe Gibbs was the head coach. That was in his second stint. That's how bad this football team has gotten. So they've got to do something. Baltimore at San Diego. Everyone's riding high on Baltimore. Let them. Everyone thinks that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. They have a rookie quarterback, and rookie quarterbacks don't win in the postseason. And rookie quarterbacks don't beat Bill Belichick. And rookie quarterbacks don't play well in the postseason. I can name 2 quarterbacks.
Rookie quarterbacks might not beat Bill Belichick, but that defense will beat Tom Brady into a pulp all day.
Well, I don't care. You're not going. First of all, they're not going to play New England.
No, unfortunately not. They're going to play Houston.
Well, no, because they're going to be a division winner.
Oh, crap, that's right.
So, they're gonna.
So they might as well just stay in. Actually, they can't stay anywhere. They're going to stay home for the playoffs because they're going to face the Chargers anyways. Oops, sorry. There goes my Super Bowl pick.
Well, and here's the other thing: the Chargers. Like, this is going to be a rematch of San Diego and Baltimore, and to me, the Chargers looked pedestrian in this game. MM Forever commented, so we must have covered this game, but I'll cover it again. They just looked pedestrian. They didn't look like they were a very good football team. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, actually, thinking back on it, I think we did cover it. But I'll tell you what, MM Forever, the Chargers could move to Aruba, and Anthony would still call them San Diego.
Yeah, don't take it personal. All right.
The Aruba Chargers. Oh, well, they're San Diego.
Yeah, well, San Diego, forget you. Maybe they'll go back to San Diego. Who knows? All right. Green Bay at the Jets. Not much to say here. 44-38. The Packers finally won a road game. I did not expect it. The Jets' defense was nowhere to be found against a one-dimensional, one-man team, which it irritates the crap out of me when college teams do this, that are supposed to be great college teams. I remember losing my chocolates when Alabama lost to Florida in the SEC championship game and Tim Tebow was a quarterback. It was one friggin' guy you had to stop the entire game, and they couldn't do it. There's no excuse in the National Football League. If you lose to one guy, your coordinator should be fired. I'm sorry. You should not lose to one man. I don't care how undermanned you are in comparison. I mean, even Aaron Donald didn't wreck the Eagles. Even Aaron Donald didn't wreck the Bears. One guy doesn't beat you. But apparently, you're the Jets. One-man wrecking crew. Aaron Rodgers wins again.
I have three things to say about the Packers, and only one pertains to the game, and I'm going to say it first. Where was this all year? Yeah. Don't tell me that the Jets are that bad that you put up 44 points on them. I don't want to hear it. Because now if you don't beat Detroit and put up at least 40 against the Lions, there's something wrong with Rodgers. Okay? Now listen, I know it was in New York or New Jersey, wherever the heck you want to call it. And I know the temperature was like 40, 45 degrees. It was a really nice weekend out in the Northeast. And you mean to tell me that you couldn't have done this all year? You mean to tell me that Aaron Rodgers couldn't hand the ball off to Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones, whoever the running back is for the Packers, and all year? I mean, not this game. And they couldn't put up these points?
Nope.
You mean to tell me that you couldn't throw and hit Marquez Valdes-Scantling or Equanimeous St. Brown or Devontae Adams or whoever else you're throwing to all year? You had two wide open passes that you overthrew against the Bears in Chicago a couple weeks ago. You mean to tell me all of a sudden those connect? It ain't McCarthy, that boys and girls. It is not Mike McCarthy why Green Bay was doing so bad.
No.
It is not. Second, Green Bay has already satisfied the Rooney Rule. They have interviewed Jim Caldwell, and then they followed that up with an interview with Chuck Pagano. So they're already looking, and they should hire Jeff Fisher or Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I don't want them to hire Chuck Pagano. Hello. Because that's a good coach right there. I don't want to see a good coach end up in Green Bay.
Well, apparently Pagano is good friends with Mike Pettin, their defensive coordinator, and another guy, I believe their offensive coordinator. Can't recall who that is just yet, but or off the top of my head. But there was a report out there that could have been just one of those we'll just interview him type of interviews.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they go.
Well, wherever Pagano ends up, watch out for that football team. All right, watch him go to Cleveland. Speaking of Cleveland, Cincinnati at Cleveland. Well, Hugh, stay in Cincinnati because you can't beat the Browns. The only time he could beat the Browns is when he was the Browns. Look, this was a entertaining game. The Bengals came back a little bit. The Browns got out to a pretty comfortable lead, and then the Bengals made a game of it. But at the end of the day, the Browns still win. And, the Browns were eliminated from the playoffs. It would have been fun to talk about a scenario the last week of the season. But it is what it is. But you know what? Cleveland's already had a phenomenal year. People in Cleveland are celebrating because they know the future looks good.
Yeah, and I don't know how you possibly move on from Greg Williams. I mean, you might as well start the hire Greg Williams full-time chant right now. Listen, they were up 23-0 at the end of the third quarter. And, Cincinnati kicked a field goal, then the Browns kicked a field goal, and then Cincinnati decided to, hey, let's play some football and score 15 points in the last 5 minutes of the game. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Jarvis Landry could be a quarterback on any other team in the league. The 63-yard pass that he had was a thing of beauty. If you didn't see it, I swear you go watch it.
Yeah.
Because it was pinpoint. It was beautiful. Cleveland's, I can't say enough, man. Cleveland's got a bright future, and 4 words, man. Changing of the guard.
That's all they needed, and you called it. You called it.
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised is if 2019 their offensive tackle comes back.
Ooh, you think so?
Keep your eye out for it.
Hey, stranger things have happened, man. Tampa Bay at Dallas.
The reason why I think he retired, okay, is because he didn't want to go through another dreadful season. That takes a toll on a lot of people, okay?
I don't think he wanted to work with Hugh Jackson. Period.
That's possible, too.
That's it. Because he's been through dreadful seasons, and it does take a lot out of you. But you'll deal with a dreadful season if you know the future looks bright. But as long as you've got this guy as your head coach, your future is about as dark as, the Santa Ana Mountains at midnight. So, Jackson's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I'm telling you, I won't be surprised. He lost a ton of weight. They showed him mid-season or sometime like the first quarter of the season. And if you guys don't know who we're talking about Joe Thomas, of course.
Yeah.
Ernest Bynum, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And he lost a ton of weight. Like, he was skinny. He's like, I don't need to eat 5,000 calories a day, because that's what it took for him to keep up his weight and what he was going through for training to get ready for the season and to stay like that throughout the season. And they showed him a couple of times, and I mean, he looked almost unrecognizable. And I won't be surprised if he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to see if the Cleveland Browns will have me back, and I guarantee you he'll get one of the loudest ovations if he steps back on that field in 2019.
Oh, you know he will.
Absolutely.
All right, listen, Tampa Bay, Dallas, there's not much to say here. The Buccaneers are garbage. Dallas was at home. They beat a bad football team the way they should. The game was a little closer than I would have liked. Dallas doesn't scare anybody, but certainly the Buccaneers weren't going to beat them. They clinched the division. The Cowboys are the division winners. Congratulations, Cowboy Nation. You guys are one and done in the postseason. Actually, I take that back. The reason Dallas lost to Seattle a while back was because the Seahawks had Earl Thomas. They don't have Earl Thomas anymore. Now, they can run the ball, but so can Dallas. That'll be an interesting game, but I don't see Dallas getting past New Orleans. And
Dallas can stop the run, too.
Yeah. So I don't see Dallas getting past New Orleans, but I could see them beating Seattle. But that's not here nor there. They won this game the way they should have won this game. Dak Prescott played well enough for them to win. The running game showed up. The defense made a great strip sack recovery for a touchdown. Great hustle play there by the Cowboys.
Yeah. Shout out to Jaylen Brown, who had that nerve issue when he got injured at Notre Dame when he was picked in the second round of the draft, not this past year, but the year before. and they didn't know when he was going to play again. He's been a monster since coming out there. And I'll tell you one thing. They deactivated a healthy Sean Lee for this game because they wanted depth other places.
Yep.
That tells me more than one thing about that. That tells me Sean Lee's days in Dallas are numbered.
No, he's
Very
gone.
much so.
He's gone. He'll be a free agent. Someone will overspend on him, and he'll play 3 games and go back down with an injury. Him and Luke Kuechly, I would avoid like the bubonic plague. But somebody will take him.
Although Kuechly has actually been relatively healthy this year.
Yeah, this year. So next year he won't be. Minnesota at Detroit. Another game that went exactly the way you'd expect. Boy, what a difference a coordinator makes, huh?
Well, I'll tell you, this game did not start out the way I expected. Detroit actually decided to play some football, and they got up to 9-0 before Minnesota kicked a field goal. And then Minnesota at the end of the first half threw up a Hail Mary, and not one Lion jumped, and Kyle Rudolph came down a little bit. It's like, anybody want to try out here?
Right.
That to me tells you it's all about coaching.
Oh yeah. Well, for about a half, I was like, oh, Washington may still have an outside shot at making the playoffs.
Well,
Philly's losing, Minnesota's losing.
Oh yeah, so you're going to do everything you can to beat Chicago next week, now aren't you?
Well, I'm just saying. You know, if Washington, if Minnesota and Philly had lost, then all Washington would have needed to have done was win against the Eagles, and Minnesota would have to lose to Chicago, and they were in.
Yep.
But neither here nor there. Look, Minnesota is still learning under this new coordinator. There's still some new plays coming in. They're still trying to figure things out. I wasn't surprised at the slow start. I was more impressed with the strong finish, coupled with what they already did against Miami. If Chicago rests anybody on defense, they're going to be in for a world of hurt against Minnesota because that offense, they could score points, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Buffalo at New England. I mean, there's just such a stretch of games here where it's like, who really cares? It went exactly the way we thought.
30 wins for Tom Brady against one opponent. That is ridiculous.
Well, it's because Buffalo has done nothing to beat the Patriots. Year in and year out.
Exactly. I will say this, that I won't be surprised if, and I've said this before and you backed me on this, but Gronkowski looks like he's all about done.
Yeah. I think he wanted to leave this year. The idea of being traded to Detroit, I think, intrigued him and kept him interested. But once he found out that trade got denied and he was going to have another...
He declined it. He declined the trade.
You keep saying that.
Retire.
He declined it?
He said he would retire, then report to Detroit. Wow. And so that's why the deal was next.
Well, I think he's going to retire now anyway. I
mean, no catches, 2 targets. He averages 55 yard receiving a game, and that's being generous.
Yeah. Well, look, he might be. He's going to turn on at least for the postseason, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think he is.
He didn't do anything against Pittsburgh, who he normally owns. Did he do anything against Buffalo? And Buffalo's got a decent defense.
Well, because he knew they were going to make the playoffs. Like, I don't think look, if this is his last year, I don't see Gronk playing at all the last couple of games mentally on the field. He's going to wait till the playoffs and give it everything he's got in the postseason and see what they can do.
So do you sit him against the Jets then?
No. As punishment, no. You need the win. Right?
Yeah, they need to win just to stay in the number 2 seed.
I mean, theoretically, Houston could lose.
Houston has Jacksonville.
I know. That's why I'm saying you got to win. Look, there's nothing to say here for New England. It's the same crap it always is. They're a team that benefits from getting 6 guaranteed wins a year from a terrible division, and no one in that division. Okay, 5 because they can't seem to beat Miami. But point is, when you can start out of the gate with 5 wins, all you got to do is find 5 somewhere else. Anyone can win 10 games. So it's just annoying. Atlanta at Carolina, 2 teams going nowhere. Look, you called this one. I thought Carolina would come out and win. I told you, though, if Carolina doesn't win that game, Carolina doesn't beat New Orleans next week. The Saints don't need it, but they're going to win anyway. And I don't know if they play Drew Brees. I don't know if they play all their starters. I don't think they need to.
They'll play Brees for a quarter, maybe half, but then expect to see a lot of Bridgewater. The other part of it is the Panthers are going to be starting a third-string quarterback because the other one got injured.
Yeah, the Panthers just don't look impressive to me. And there's so many problems with Carolina. You know, as good as Cam Newton may be, he's a flawed superstar. You're not afraid of Cam Newton if you can get in his head. If he gets, if he has a couple touchdown drives in a row and he's having fun and he's feeling it, then you got problems. But, as long as you can control him and get in his head and keep him somewhat disinterested, you're going to beat them every time anyway. But without Cam Newton, that football team is garbage on a stick. They're like a used, never mind. Pittsburgh at New Orleans. I want to cover this one a little bit. This was actually a fun game. This was actually a good game. It was actually a game where, as if I needed more of a reason to hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had one job. One job. That's it. Go into New Orleans and beat the Saints. Make it so next week they have to play. And what do? You blow it. As friggin' usual. The Steelers, to me, don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're not a playoff team. They won't beat anybody even if they get in. And as far as I'm concerned, that whole thing needs to go away. Rapesaberger needs to retire. Brown needs to be traded. And Le'Veon Bell is going to be welcomed wherever he ends up next year. But it won't be Pittsburgh. And I can't wait to watch Le'Veon go to an AFC team, preferably the AFC North, and just beat the crap out of Pittsburgh twice a week. Baltimore might not be a bad place for him to go. They need a back.
Him and Lamar Jackson? That would really stick to the craw of the Steelers. That'd be hilarious, actually.
It would be, wouldn't it?
It would be.
But you know where he's going to end up?
Oh, boy, would he get booed and whatnot when he goes to Pittsburgh for the first time? That would be worth watching.
And you know he'd love it. But here's where Le'Veon Bell's going to go. He's either going to end up in Indy or in Oakland, who won't be in Oakland next year. They'll be in either Glendale or Santa Clara.
He ain't going to Cardinals.
No. The Raiders are either going to be playing in Glendale or Santa Clara. You didn't hear about that?
San Diego, or LA, or San Antonio, or an island in Hawaii somewhere. Who knows?
Or a short
I don't know.
But look, I think those are his two destinations, Raiders or Colts. But I would love to see him go to Baltimore just to screw with the Steelers. What do you guys say about this game, Eric? Because for me, it was really a game of blown opportunity. It was Pittsburgh's season in a nutshell. Played well enough to be good, scary, maybe pull off the victory, but in the end, they reminded you why they suck.
Yeah, they had a lot of opportunities. Breeze picked apart their defense a little bit. And it was funny because Juju Smith-Schuster was questionable going into the game, but he tweeted out beforehand. He's like, hey, don't worry, I'm playing. A lot of fantasy championships are riding on me. Whatever, I'm playing. And then he goes out in the last play. The Steelers have the ball. He fumbles.
Good job. Look, I mean, Eric, the Steelers are done, right?
They need a lot of help, but yeah, they're pretty much missing the playoffs for the first time in about 5 years.
Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of a team not missing the playoffs, they just got back into the playoffs, and one team made the playoffs again for about 6 years in a row. The Kansas City Chiefs played the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday night. Good game, entertaining game. Seattle wins it. The Chiefs showed why they're flawed. Look, I'll give Seattle some credit here. They beat a good football team at home, but I don't know. I think, for me at least, and maybe I'm being a skeptic here, I think it said more about what the Chiefs aren't than what the Seahawks are. Do you agree?
The Chiefs are not a Super Bowl team.
No.
And the Seahawks did what they had to do to beat them.
Yep.
So there's your what the Seahawks are and what the Chiefs aren't.
Right. I mean, that's really basically what it comes down to. This was a game, if you're a Super Bowl caliber team, and look, the Rams went into Seattle and won. I want to remind people of that. The Rams beat Seattle twice this year, and they were both good games, but in the end, the Rams proved they were the better team. And Goff made better plays and bigger plays against the Seahawks than he did. Mahomes. Goff beat San Diego in their only meeting. He struggled with the Chiefs twice in their two meetings. So, beat them once, lost to them once. I don't want to say struggled, but didn't single-handedly win the game like he'd been doing most of the year. Look, he's going to be a great quarterback, and the Chiefs have a future here, but they've got to figure out how to play defense. Because right now the Chiefs are making a mockery.
They can call Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor to see if they're available to play. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Ooh, Earl Thomas.
That broken leg.
Well, they can get him next year.
He ain't going back to Seattle next year. You know that.
No,
I know that.
No, I'm saying he might be a free agent they could pick up, although I think he'll end up in Dallas. All right, look, here's another game, last game to cover. It's getting a little bit cold out here. Can't quite see my breath, but my toesies are getting cold. Dude, seriously, right? Here in Chicago, it's probably snowing. Look, this game, Oakland, my dad called this one. My dad said that the Raiders are going to win this game. It's the last game in Oakland. He expected them to play well. And I did not expect them to win, but holy crap. They beat Denver in Oakland in the final game ever at Oakland Alameda Coliseum. What do you think, E? How shocked were you?
Not shocked at all. I'm more shocked that Denver didn't do anything throughout the whole game, and they didn't really do anything until the fourth quarter. And it was like, where have you been all year if you're gonna play like this? Because I mean, why is it that you're deciding to play like this now in like last three games? Like, yeah, I figured they might win because, and I guess I didn't preview the game properly, and that might be on me, but last game in Oakland, sure, they're going to go all out. And plus, who do you trust more, Derek Carr or Case Keenum? I rest my case.
Well, I mean, look, Denver played exactly the way they did for half of the season, and then all of a sudden they came out and played a different style of football. So, look, I don't know. There's not much to say here. Denver's a bad team. Not Lynn, but they got to fire their coach and move on from Vance Joseph. Yeah, Joseph's got to go. But I don't know that you're going to – I mean, maybe Pagano goes there, but you still need a quarterback in Denver. And, outside of John Elway and Jake Plummer, I guess you could – Peyton Manning, but he wasn't – neither was Jake Plummer for that matter. So, I guess you could throw him in there. They've had three really good quarterbacks, but they've had some years where they've not had good quarterback play, and we're seeing it now. So we'll see how this all unfolds, Eric. But I'm convinced that this is the Denver team we've seen all year long. They just made a push at the end because no one in the AFC seemed in the middle of the year seemed to have wanted to win games. So Denver's like, we'll do it. But then when everyone got reinterested, Denver fell off the wagon all over again. Bad losses in consecutive weeks to the Bay Area teams. There's no way around it. But it is what it is. Any closing thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, Week 17 should be fun. Probably one of the better Week 17s that I've remembered in a while.
Well, I think it's going to be – I don't think it's that interesting. I'll tell you why. I think pretty much we know who the playoff teams are going to be. And even barring an upset, I don't see a lot of movers and shakers at this point. There's not a lot of formulas out there for other teams. I mean, I'm looking at who's still in the hunt right now in the playoffs. In the AFC, you've got, two teams? In the NFC,
Well, you got whether or not Baltimore wins the North, and if they don't, and Pittsburgh wins, Pittsburgh jumps them, and then you got Tennessee and Indy, and winner gets in.
right, but I'm saying right now, really, there's only 2 teams in the hunt in the AFC, and only one's going to make it. You know, in other words, the Colts may drop out and the Titans may jump in, but obviously Pittsburgh could jump in. So technically, I guess that's not true. But you only have 2 teams in the AFC. You only have 1 team in the NFC. There's only 3 teams still alive for the playoffs in Week 17. I think what's interesting is the jumping that can happen within the seeding. Can the Bears get to 2? Will the Rams fall to 4? Or 3 rather? Will the Ravens be there at 4, or will they drop down to 6? Will the Steelers get in? I mean, there is intrigue there. Who's going to be the 2 seed in the AFC? Where are the Chargers going to end up? Like, there's that intrigue. But other than that, I mean, it's seeding interest, but it's not playoff interest in my opinion. So I don't know.
Right.
Look, my closing thoughts on this is this: the Rams, if they play like they did last week against San Francisco, and they win another impressive game, you guys can doubt us all you want. You guys can sit there and say that we're beatable all you want, but the proof is in the pudding. Ever since Akeem Talib came back in this lineup, our defense has been completely different. Our offense is tapered off, but if it gets hot again and it figures itself out and we can play defense coupled with that offense, we're unbeatable. We are absolutely, unquestionably unbeatable. And I'm sorry, but good luck if the Rams get hot on offense and this defensive mode continues to trend. I'm intrigued to see if my boy Aaron Donald gets to his record. I'm predicting he gets 4 sacks, so I think he breaks the record. We will see how it all ends up, and that's what I'm kind of intrigued to watch. So there is some intrigue in Week 17.
I'll add in what the Bears are going to do on Sunday. Will they roll over and let Minnesota win and face them in Chicago? Because that's a bad omen. Remember 2010,
mm-hmm.
Or do they play and knock out their division rival? Because nothing would satisfy me more than watching them go to Minnesota, knocking the Vikings around, and knocking them out of the playoffs. Because a lot of people are talking on the radio. It's like, oh well, they're all focused on the 2 seed. Well, there's more at stake than just the 2 seed. You can determine who you play in the playoffs. They're like, oh well, if somebody's in Matt Nagy's here, and they say the Rams are up by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and they're going into the second half or early in the second half, whatever. Do you rush the starters? Do you want to face Minnesota or do you want to face the Eagles?
Well, are the Bears playing it?
If you go all out and lose to Minnesota, you've given them so much on tape to what they can use for Sunday's game.
Are they playing at 1 or are they playing at 11?
Oh, they're all playing at the same time.
Well, that's weird.
The NFL has determined to put the Rams, Niners, Bears, Vikings, Eagles, Redskins all at the same time.
What time is that?
They flex them all to 3:30.
3:30. Okay, so the Rams didn't get flex at all. They've always been there.
Well, yeah, they couldn't get flex because they're on the West Coast.
They could have.
Well, they're not going to put the Rams and Niners on Sunday night.
No, they could have put the Rams and Niners Sunday morning.
An 11 o'clock game?
Why not?
Or 10 o'clock game?
Why not?
They've never done that in the West Coast. Give me a break.
Why not? That's what I don't understand.
They wouldn't do that.
Because they're dumb? I would like to see the play in the morning, and then I don't have to worry about the afternoon. But that's just me. Anyway, I digress. I'm getting upset.
Well, you got to worry about the afternoon now, so.
Yeah, no kidding. Whatever. Well, I can only watch one game, so I know what I'm watching. Go Rams!
And go Bears.
Horns up.
Bear down.
Yeah, the Bears are going to go down to the Rams. Bye.